I'm Suzanne Hargrove. I'm the head of conservation here at the Toledo Museum of Art. I always knew that art was an important part of my life. I took art classes when I was a child, just always found it an enjoyable experience. I also really enjoyed science, so I decided I would go into archaeology with the idea of becoming an archaeologist. And then while I was in undergraduate school studying to be an archaeologist, I learned about the field of conservation, and I just felt like it was this perfect marriage of science and art, and I was hooked at that point, and that's when I decided I would become a conservator. To become a conservator, one is required to have a master's degree from a recognized conservation program. The handful of schools, they only take from 6 to 10 students per year, so it's quite difficult to get into a program. I arrived here in 2003, and prior to coming to the Toledo Museum of Art, I was the head of objects conservation at the St. Louis Art Museum. And I was at the St. Louis Art Museum for most of my career. I started working there when I got out of conservation school, rose through the ranks of the museum, beginning as an assistant conservator to become a department head. And the opportunity when it presented itself here at Toledo was, to my mind, a next logical step up to become the head of conservation here at this museum. Some of the things that I think people don't realize, if they think of conservation at all, a lot of people think about restoration. So they envision perhaps a person doing hands-on restoration work, fixing things, making things look beautiful again, or cleaning things. That certainly is a component of the work that I do, but perhaps one of the biggest components of the work of a conservator is preventive maintenance. If you can prevent damage from happening in the first place, you've done so much more to preserve the collection for future generations. One of the reasons I was hired here was to be in charge of the move of the glass, getting the glass collection ready to move across the street, and dealing also with all the conservation aspects with constructing a brand new building. It seemed like an insurmountable task. It was quite daunting, but at the same time it was a great challenge and it was a great opportunity, and it was exciting to be part of the whole buzz with creating the new building, and the glass just looked fabulous over there, and that was an amazing project. We continue to do construction activities now with regard to the museum and displaying the collection, so again, I'm involved in those activities. But aside from that, business as usual doesn't stop either, so we're continuing with loans, we're continuing with exhibits, we're continuing with conservation treatments of the collection, so there's always a number of challenges that I face on a daily basis, and it's always fascinating. One of the sayings that I use is every day is conservation adventure, which is true, and it's always very exciting. One of the activities that perhaps I am very proud of is mentoring. We talked a little bit about how difficult it is for someone to gain entry into a conservation program. And since I have a number of years of conservation experience, I personally feel when one gains a level of experience, it's very important to give back. Someone gave me an opportunity when I was trying to become a conservator and trying to get that desired work experience. And so one of the things I have done here at the museum is to provide that work experience opportunity to people who are interested in becoming conservators. One of the pieces that I walk by fairly regularly that always puts a smile on my face is the pair of Majorelle gates that are in Gallery 35. I find them particularly beautiful. And the reason I do is because I am personally interested in metalwork. I like doing metalwork, and I just find those gates spectacular. In terms of visual literacy, thinking about a gate itself and what a gate represents. A gate can keep people out from something, but a gate can be a gateway to something new, to open a door to a new experience. And to me, those Majorelle gates are a wonderful combination of all those things.